welcome back to Life and Style. We are in the Retake segment where we are discussing a very interesting topic. The gentlemen have been having it earlier on. It's about if a man impregnates a lady, then is he obligated to take care of the child and marry the lady? They have been having the conversation. The ladies are joining in. I am Koi Mwashi, and I don't know, Pastor Chris, how did I do with that?
You did so well. You did
Thank
so well.
you.
You just
Thank
never
you.
know. You just never know. I might be going on holiday, then I just tell you, Koi,
Oh,
come
praise the Lord. I will take over your job.
in. All right, you may have your seat, Koi.
Thank you.
That's Koi Mwashi, and so delighted to have all of you over here. As she said, we're going to have the conversation continuing from Mandate. On the segment of Mandate, we talk to the men. We talk about different things that they go through, things that they deal with, and then we get the voices of the ladies in Retake. But we don't just let the ladies come in and talk and have the final say. We have the men also join them. So on the Retake, we've got the men who are with me on Mandate. They're still here. And then I'm going to introduce to you the ladies. We're talking about if a man will make a lady pregnant, should that be enough reason for them to get married? And the men were saying, well, not really. Some were saying if he loves her. I'm going to hear from the lady. If a lady got pregnant in a relationship, should the man marry her?
In my opinion, it depends. If we were in a relationship and we were in love, then yes, I think the man should marry.
I really want to know what this thing love is.
If a man gets me pregnant, then he should be obligated to marry me. But also, according to what the men have said, I wonder why you should impregnate a lady and yet say you're not in love with her. It's really, it's a question that really bugs me a lot.
All right, Koi, your thoughts? Having done so well as a host, your thoughts?
Thank you. I think it's a very interesting question that we need to look at from where we're coming from as a society and where we're going to. Where we're coming from is our mother's generation where you touch it, don't break it. You break it, you buy it.
All right.
So it was as simple as you are going to marry this girl.
Okay.
And it wasn't the parents actually who called you. It was the entire village that brought you to that place of responsibility. Right now, if a man gets a lady pregnant, there is no collective imposition of that responsibility. Right. And so it becomes like, those provisos in a law that make you escape. Yeah. So right now, because those mechanisms are not in place, then it makes it very easy for a man to just fade away from the scene and leave the lady to marry. And to take care of the lady.
Do you think that if somebody impregnated a lady, they should take the full responsibility and marry the lady?
I believe that scenarios are different. Okay. So we have this very tricky one that I had the men bring up, which is you impregnate a lady that you're not in love with. What business do you have, first of all? I mean, let's just bring that conversation to a close here. What business do you have impregnating a lady that you're not in love with? Yeah. And if you are not in love with her, marriage is hard enough as it is without the complication of having somebody that you don't love being the one that you're being forced to marry. So I don't think anybody should be forced to marry somebody they don't love.
Okay, but I need to hear from the gentleman. You told me on the other side. Now here are the ladies, and they're asking, what business do you have to have business with somebody you don't love? Lee?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad that at least they're agreeing with us that if you don't love somebody, don't marry her. So even if she has a kid with you, still don't marry her, but take care of the kid. I think it's fair for everybody, both the man and the woman.
But you see, it's I'm trying to understand how a lady feels. You've gone all the way with her, and that didn't start overnight. Probably there's been pursuit, and you've gone all the way with her. Then you come in and she hears probably from a friend or something that I can't marry her because I don't love her, and she's given you her whole self. How does that feel, Nelly, for a lady?
Oh my, I haven't experienced it, but believe you me, it really hurts. Love. When you say you're in love, This is love. And a baby is a product of love. Now, as ladies, we get attached, emotionally attached. When I say I love somebody, it comes from within. There's no way you can get a baby and then I hear grapevine, let me say, that I don't like that lady. I don't love her. I didn't love her in the first place. But yet you've impregnated me. It really hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really hurts.
Patrick, could we define this thing called love? Because maybe our definitions are different. Could we define this thing
Nell
called
says
love?
that a child is a product of love.
Oh, yes.
I think it used to be. Nowadays, the bar is like the bar has been lowered, sort of.
Then what has changed?
So as to say, because
Yeah.
in those days, before you actually have that intercourse to result into a child, it used to be a process.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we have terms like just a one night enough to give you a child. Does that mean that these two people took less than 10 hours to know each other and settled and said, I've met my partner and we can settle?
But
it doesn't happen.
You've talked
overnight.
about the lowering of the bar,
Yes.
which I need to hear also. That lowering of the bar, who lowered it?
Well, I'll come back to to her. Yeah, she said that those days you had to make it work.
Yeah.
If I impregnate a lady, the society will demand that I have to make it work. There was no room for people to think otherwise. But nowadays, even how the divorces that we hear nowadays, we hear that, oh, this one added salt into water and the man or the lady sued for divorce and they are divorcing. But those days, even before you decide to part ways,
Yeah.
the bar was very high. You had to prove that really this thing cannot work. And those days, you could go back to your mother, and your mother sends you back to the marriage.
Yeah.
Or if you are a boy, then the father is asking, where is your wife?
Where's your wife? Chanel, I need you to answer me whether, is it the ladies that just lowered it?
No, it's because if it was the ladies, then what is the difference between then the ages where it had to, like it was tradition, if you impregnate someone, you marry them. So I don't see anything that we have brought new to the table now.
But Patrick is saying that before, in the older days, before anybody could come to the place of intercourse, it was a whole process. And he says nowadays there's different arrangements, like one night stand and stuff like that.
Yes.
So who eliminated the process? Because I don't think that the men were ever in any process from the first place.
Pastor Chris, allow me to come in there
Yeah.
and say the ladies may want to hide their heads in the sand, but really there is no way that you will get pregnant without consent unless it was rape.
Yeah.
So there is this one night stands. It's not the men we are part of that process.
Yeah.
So, and there is no way that a cow will allow herself to be milked if she doesn't know the milkman.
It's a combined
So
result.
you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So at the end of the day, we may want to say that these men have this, and yes, there is that part of their responsibility, but we must also take our part of the responsibility, which means that yes, we are the ones agreeing to have those one night stands. Yes, we are the ones agreeing to go after married men. Yes, we are the ones agreeing to get hooked up with men after 3 months, after what? We are the ones who are letting them in. Once the shop is closed, it is closed.
Is it a case of, the gazelle staying around the lion and then blaming the lion for eating it up?
But first, I remember I told you, the way the society was designed is like daughters have to be taken care of by their mothers, and they are warned, boys are roaming all over, beware. So it was not about trying to
So it
stop
really
this
brings
man.
me to what I was asking Chanel, and she did not want to,
but
she didn't want to agree to that, right?
No, but what we are saying now is we're not talking about where there's love. We're talking about one night stands. In case of that, I'm thinking there is protection, there is birth control. There's
But we're
all
talking
those
about
things.
the elimination of process.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, that the ladies have played a huge role in removing the process. Because these men, from the beginning, they've always indicated what they want. You know, they're very clear about what they want. They've not changed on that. And so that's why I use the analogy of the lion and the antelope. So the antelope is over there, and the antelope knows very well. This lion is looking for meat. And
Let's not pretend like these things don't happen. From time immemorial, there's something, one of the gentlemen said that men are very visual. Just one look at you and bang. Love is not even in the equation.
that's what Chris was saying on Monday. He said men are weak. Like if a lady comes into the house, you said when a lady comes into the house, the first thing that a man thinks.
Yeah, the first impression, you just think that she wants you to sleep with her.
You see, so, and because we are more relational, when this thing happens and then the man doesn't want anything to do with you, it impacts on us very heavily because we are emotionally plugged into it. And when a woman is emotionally plugged into something, it's not just her emotions, it's her mind, it's her body, it's her... She came with her suitcase, bang.
And put it over there.
Yes.
And Lee, you think that now it's okay for a man to say, look, you came with a suitcase, but I just needed the bracelet. So I'm going.
I don't think actually it's fine.
Yeah.
But when the lady comes and, okay, like you said, men are weak. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if she gets pregnant, I said again, it depends with your conscience. Like, would you feel comfortable when someone is with your child suffering somewhere and you're not taking responsibility? So at the end of the day, it's a matter of conscience. That's what is going to guide you. I think it's an individual thing and individual conscience.
So at some point, we've got to agree with Chris, like, stay off. If you're not sure.
If you're strong enough.
Just stay off.
There's nothing about strength here. No, let's just talk.
Because it's a matter like the butchery.
Yes.
You can't return meat to the butchery.
You're in the confines of four walls. Are you sure really that you're going to remain strong? Some of these boundaries are very important in relationships because right now we're talking about pregnancy, but there are some things that you cannot be protected from. Even she was talking about protection, but there's some things that you will guard against STIs and pregnancy, but you will not guard against the emotional battles that will come with it. You will not be able to hide against the shame, the sheer rejection that comes with that entire process. So have some boundaries. Exactly. So that's why I'm saying have some boundaries.
You're putting the burden on the ladies. Are men usually aware of that level of emotional attachment and investment of the ladies into it? Or the man is just thinking, look, what's the big deal? We both wanted to do this. We did it. We're both responsible. Let's move on. Are men usually aware of that?
Men may be aware, but at the end of the day, again, if the hunting has been made to be so easily, you may not really see if that attachment really exists. As in, men, I always say this, even those ones that you think they're so lost into alcohol, drinking from morning to evening, by the time they want to go and get married, they're not going to get a wife from that bar. They won't. So at one point, even in the process of all this mess,
what does that make men look like?
Their thinking is, those ones that have messed up their life have decided to do so, and they cannot be something like a serious emotional attachment. Yeah. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you find men who are again wondering, can I really stay with this one?
So in a sense, then there are those that they feel, I can have flings with this one, but then I need to marry somebody else. When they want to get married, they look for people that they really feel like this one is going to be a wife.
I think that's a bit true, because you'll find many of them had flings before without really considering the idea of marriage. But at the back of the mind, they know maybe I'd like to marry someone, and maybe I can approach her and be serious with her. So I think the whole matter of emotional attachment when intercourse is involved on the side of men doesn't happen that way.
Chris, do you think that sometimes, I'm coming to you, Chanel and Nelly, do you think that sometimes then ladies have also presented themselves a bit as desperate? Because Lee is saying that sometimes men are fixed on who they think they want to marry. But do you think sometimes ladies try so hard to get the man and even sometimes shift the focus so they will throw themselves to the man, hoping that when they get all the way, then he's going to change his mind?
What I can say about that, as a man perspective, I'll say if a lady acts so desperate that he just keep her with the man, because if she's just giving herself freely, then she's just like chasing away the man.
So he will take away the goodies, but he will drop.
Yeah. And the man will say, this is not a wife material. But when you play hard to get, that one, you attract the man more.
Do you agree with that, that the container should be kept locked so that the man pays the full price to get the content?
True. And then men love to hunt. And as ladies, I believe we should be so hidden. Let me use that term. We should be so hidden in that with this time you're giving yourself, as in this time you're giving yourself, or maybe this time you are in hiding. You'll get to know the true colors of this man, because I believe when he hunts for long, it depends with the man. If he hunts for long, you'll be able to know whether he's the right guy or not. Because others are just there.
Let me help you. These men nowadays, they don't hunt for long. They give up so fast.
Right.
They will have pursued you in 3 weeks. You're not there. Then the next thing you hear from Chanel is so-and-so has been texting
But
me.
Pastor Chris,
Because
love
they're
is
very,
patient.
very practical.
I love is patient. I believe if he's truly into me, if he truly loves me, he'll go beyond.
So we're coming back to what I said, like we need to have the definition of love. Because this thing that we are calling love, a man will say to you that I love you, and then if you're not going his direction, the next thing is that I love you. You're not going that direction, then he's there. I love you. So what is this love to men, Patrick? How do men understand love? And let's see whether it matches with what women call love.
Maybe the definition keeps changing. I don't know. I honestly don't have a definite definition to that, but I'll say everything will depend on the objectives that a man or a woman wakes up to achieve. If you are someone who is thinking long term, then you will be interested in the character. And maybe if you are thinking about the short term, you'll be interested about that night.
So convenience.
If at the end of the day you are inviting a lady on the first date and she comes in at 8 p.m., the man may even think that by not consenting with her, she has let her down. That is the mentality that men are likely to go with. But if someone comes and you see clearly rules have been set, you'll follow that.
Are there supposed to be rules for dating? I'm going to pick up that. I love what you brought. Are there supposed to be rules for dating? Chanel, I'm coming to you, Koi. Are there supposed to be rules for dating? What are the do's and the don'ts that a lady should have?
First of all, I think you can't set rules for dating, because if it comes as it comes, it's love. You can't, it's not like a script or a movie.
It's love.
Or something.
So what is love? Is
For
love
me,
something
I
amorphous?
think, for me, my definition of love is a choice. You choose to love someone, to accept their flaws, to accept everything about them. If you don't choose, then you know.
So to you, love is an open check?
It is a choice.
Whatever. Okay.
You choose.
Oh, Jesus. Now, let me tell you something. I was taught by an older person that you do not set the goalpost after a match has begun. You do not begin to put in systems and say, I don't like this, and you've dated somebody for 3, 5, 7 months, built up an expectation, and then you expect that this relationship is going to go far.
Yeah.
So when she says you don't set rules, I say, honey, you better set some. Because this is the thing, men will run with you for as long as they can push that envelope.
Yeah.
The minute you set boundaries, they build a certain level of respect for you. they have they know that they cannot mess up on this end, they cannot mess up on that end, because they know that they lose you. You see, this is the thing.
Isn't that the same thing that people do with their wives, and then they go and mess out elsewhere, but they never leave their wives?
Exactly.
Because they have respect.
Because they know, here I have a diamond, there I have just a regular rhinestone. It's shining like, but it is not.
Yeah. All right. Your final thoughts, Chris?
I think you should not get. You should first love the person, start the relationship, then.
Is that possible for men? First love the person and then the relationship?
It's
Or
very
do
possible.
men define attraction as love? You know, you walk into a place, you see a lady, you pull towards them, then you say, I love her. Is that possible for men? Do you think it is?
It's possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you first love the person, then you get into the relationship.
Yeah.
Chanel.
Yes, love comes first, because I mean, without, you can't just go. There's something he said. There are those who you keep to marry, and then there are those who you just keep to hang around with. I don't understand that. So, yeah, love, and then everything else will fall into place.
All right. Lee.
I actually think that a relationship should be based on love so that it can be productive. And also for my fellow men, I would like to ask them to be a bit strong, even if it's the hunting game and she's desperate. Maybe don't mess around with her that much. You can be much stronger than that. And for the women, I'll ask them not to be crybabies. This game is played between two parties. And if something happens, don't keep blaming the only one party. So don't be a crybaby because you're also into this.
You played a part in it.
Yeah, you played a big part in it.
All right, Nelly.
What I can say, I think nowadays the moral, as in our society has become, we are not morally upright, and that's why even according to our topic, it's like some men, not all, some men are insensitive, because when you impregnate a lady, and then at the end of it all, you're like, you don't want to be associated with anything concerning the pregnancy and the lady. It shows a lot of insensitivity. Yeah, but what I can say in matters of love, first of all, if you two, a lady and a guy, feel that you want, or maybe you are seeing yourself moving from one level to the next, first of all, it should start with true friendship. There should also be respect. And love. Love is patient, love is kind, love is pure. According to the scriptures, let us also have the respect and be sensitive to each other.
Patrick, your final thoughts.
I'll say that from what I've gathered here, ladies come with all the attachment. And if that be the case, then they'll rather come also with a lot of care. Because if they're not going to exercise care, then they're going to give the attachment to a wrong person. Wrong men do exist, and right ones are there too.
That's
It
right.
all takes time to get that.
To know them.
Yeah.
I know the difference.
Yeah. So that patience should be there. And ladies, I think they have the power in their hands to exercise a lot of control. A man can only go to an extent that will allow him to go. They may not force anything upon you. If they do and you don't really want, then they just walk away. And if a man walks away and you know very well that was a wrong one, let him go.
All right.
Yeah.
You're talking like a preacher.
When I grow up, I will.
Corey, your final thoughts.
I think if you're going to get married, marry for all the right reasons. Because marriage is an institution that is not to be played with. If you don't love the person, take responsibility for the action that happened. Take care of that child. But don't get married just because you have a child attached to you. I would also say that for the ladies, let there be a certain sense of intellectual maturity. Is that we don't just come with our emotions, but you also come with your head. And you get to assess the person and know, is this person taking me where I want to go, or are they here just to play kalongo? you know, and so you understand that part and know how to invest. Every investor invests wisely.
Yeah, every investor invests wisely. Well, you know, we're still talking about this on Twitter, so keep the conversation going. The hashtag is KTN Life and Style. Follow us on our social media platforms. That's where the conversation goes on. Of course, we are not through with Relationship Wednesday. We will be coming back with Ask Pastor Chris, but writers on 22840. Let's get to know your thoughts. That's the text message number, 0700574747. That's the WhatsApp number. And on Twitter, our handle is at KTN Life _style. The same for Instagram. On Facebook, it's KTN Life and Style. Follow me at CJ Atemo on Twitter, Chris Atemo on Instagram, and Chris J. Atemo on Facebook. Don't go anywhere. Just keep tweeting and telling us, what do you think? Should men marry the women that they have impregnated? Have women played a role in this? Have they lowered the standards? Keep talking to us.
Sasa huyu ndo Mama Amy.
Na leso ni safi for this time. No ni safi. So you can imagine the
What's
time
safi hivi?
inapanga dati. Yeah.
Ona mna kuangalia vibaya.